Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Pick your crystal for the week of October 24th to October 30th. So, as you can see, today we're doing something just a little bit different. Minerals are also part of sort of the crystal family, if you will. And so I've chosen two of those plus a separate actual, crystal, I guess you would call it. Okay, so the first pile is gold. Okay, the element of gold. The second one is jade. The third is titanium. Okay, so take a moment, see which one or two or three reaches out to you. What does your soul resonate to? And let's get started, shall we? I will put the timestamps in the description box below. So let's start with gold. Okay, so you have the King and Queen of Swords, you have the Nine of Pentacles, and you have the Emperor. They're pretty powerful cards indeed. Okay, so let's take a look at sort of the attributes, if you will, of swords, and specifically the King and Queen. So what you have when you're looking at the sword family, it's about power. It is about your thoughts. It is about the way you present. Now, the king, typically that's about sort of, authority and strength, intellect, fairness. And the queen, of course, has those. And we're talking confidence and assurance and organization. So this is really interesting because you have an abundance card, you have a king and queen, and then you have the emperor. So for the most part, it feels as if these cards are predominantly telling a story about, I almost want to say something like business related or corporate related or even perhaps government related. There is a general feeling of these cards that, there is a sense of security. There is something that you're looking to acquire, or perhaps you have acquired. But there's something about the energy of this that really is just talking about finding that sense of security, finding that sense of stability, and using sort of the tools in your toolbox, if you will, to achieve those things, to get the wisdom and the understanding and the clarity in terms of how you're going to acquire, maintain your security. And it's interesting because it could be financial security, but in some ways it feels more like it is about security connected to your well-being, kind of in a broader sense, if you will. Now, there's a couple of stories these cards are telling. One, I want to say this: if you are looking for information coming from the government, or information coming from a big corporation, even I'm getting credit card companies or banks, that should yield good news. Okay, you should be hearing about that, and that should yield good news. Part of what the king and queen are about is about, yin yang, balance. It is about ensuring that you keep your thoughts at their highest vibration and you don't let worry and fear and anxiety sort of play a role or play a part in this scenario. This is about assurance and confidence and knowing that you are moving in the right direction, and that direction is going to provide you with security. Now, if it is something less tangible, I want to say, than money, than a pentacle, something a pentacle represents, then it really shifts to this feeling of additional security or stability that you're looking to find, or that you're starting to map out. And whether this is something, as simple as maybe starting, I don't know, like a home-based business, or maybe you're going to be starting a new job. There is definitely a feeling that confidence is going to win the day. And from that, you're going to find your sense of security. It's a feeling of making sure that the ground beneath you feels solid. And a lot of us don't feel that the ground beneath us is very solid. Certainly, what we thought was solid was yanked out from under our feet, about 18 months ago, when all kinds of people realized that, their job, their security, their whatever wasn't quite as set in stone or quite as solid as they thought it was. But what you're seeing now is making choices that allow you to find that sense of security and safety, through, I almost want to say, through some of your own merit. Okay. So whether that is a skill set that you are extending to a potential employer or current employer, or whether that is starting something on your own, or taking something that you do, perhaps it's a hobby, and looking to see if that can be, or created or shifted into some sort of a second income to bring you more stability, or whether you can expand what you have, to a broader base. So it's a really interesting energy from these cards, because it feels as if the universe is trying to say, listen, we hear that you are seeking that security, that independence, that sense of self, that strength. And we're telling you that you have the attributes and the qualities to be able to manifest that. So take your skill set, take that which you are very, very good at, and bring it together and blend it together. And as I'm saying this, I'm being reminded that very often some of the things that we're very good at are not tangible. Some of the things we're very good at is keeping a positive attitude. It is not falling into, lower vibrational energy. Maybe it's about manifesting. Maybe it's about clear thinking or finding clarity in terms of a way to move forward with a specific situation. So that's what I'm getting here from this. There's definitely a sense of, finding security and creating some comfort from that. All right, we're going to move on to this Jade band. And what do we have here? We have the Five of Swords, Justice, the Four of Cups, and the Nine of Wands. Okay. So, sometimes we can kind of be our own, worst enemies if we're not kind of mindful of what we're sort of allowing to kind of roll around, if you will, in our head. So the Nine of Wands is talking about feeling burdened, or feeling trapped, or feeling like you can't sort of, I almost want to say, like, line your thoughts up and get them to be you know, clear and focused. You have the Four of Cups, and that is, that represents this situation where you're so busy looking at what you already have or what you already know or what you're comfortable with, that you're not actually looking for new opportunities coming your way. There is no sense of expansion there. And you have the Five of Swords, which again is sort of that sense of, have I won but lost? Right? What have I given up, or what have I lost in the process of what I'm trying to achieve? The Justice card sitting here is very, very powerful, because it is talking, it's about justice, but more in this case, it really is talking about balance. It's talking about the wisdom of finding balance. It's talking about the sort of clarity of thought, and bringing yourself around to a place where you are able to see clearly how you are going to move forward. Remember, this Nine of Wands, his eyes are not covered up. Okay, he can see. He just has to kind of focus, kind of push forward, and recognize that he has far more options than he thinks he does. For some reason, this reading is talking about focusing in on a sense of loss, or something that has been missed, something that there is a sense of loss or grieving over. And they're saying, the Justice card is reminding you that this is about finding your way forward, looking for the positive, seeking new answers, and not focusing on yesterday, but focusing on now, right now. And notice, I'm not saying and tomorrow. I'm saying right now. Focus on this moment in time. What do you want? What are you looking for? What are you trying to balance in your life? What do you feel is out of balance and sort of has you feeling like you're not on firm footing? And you are being reminded with great clarity that all of those higher vibrational feelings, the security and the confidence and the clarity about how to move forward, those are all at your disposal. They're there. You simply have to stop looking kind of to the past and stay in this moment, and ask yourself, literally in this moment, what is going to work for me? What is going to help move me further down the road that I'm wanting to go? What is it I need in this time, so that I can sort of almost like self-correct my thoughts and move forward in a way that affords me the largest number of opportunities? And it is, it's an interesting thing, because this energy is just about really refocusing and balancing the way you're thinking or looking at something or viewing a situation. And once you find that sort of clarity, you're going to discover that you have far more options or ideas or thoughts than you realize. Don't forget, the wands are about communications. And so there really is that sense of, in some ways, you have a great deal to say. And maybe it's time to say it, as opposed to spending your energy thinking about what you should have said. If that's the case, I caution you. You are far better off to say it in a letter, in written form, or just say it out loud. But do not direct that to the person that you think needs to hear it. Because in truth, you need to hear it. You will find your feelings of justice and clarity when you actually hear what it is subconsciously the message is. When you allow that communication from the subconscious to filter up, it is the message is for you. It is not for somebody else. So even though you may be in that place where you're thinking, well, I should have said this or done this, really what you're seeking is your own clarity. Okay? Let's move on to this titanium. Now, so titanium is interesting, right? It's so strong, right? It's kind of like a dull gray color, but it's got some shine to it. It's an interesting, I guess, mineral, we'll call it. Oh my, okay. So here we go. Interesting. You have literally the Fool followed by the Hermit. So the overwhelming message here is, maybe it's time to put some of those plans or ideas or insights into action. It feels very much as if you have been in a period of sort of self-discovery, a period of soul searching, a time of healing, a time of looking at things that maybe were painful to look at. And setting some of it to rest. And now it's time for you to move forward. It's time for you to step forward. It's time for you to emerge, if you will, from that healing cocoon and take that energy that you now have because of the self-awareness and the clarity you have, and time to take that step forward. Now, the Fool is often about, that kind of leap of faith, right? I mean, I often refer to this card as the plug your nose and, dive into the deep end kind of energy. But, sometimes we have to do that. We really do. And it's interesting because you have an 8 of Wands here and the Ace of Pentacles. It feels like once you are able to sort of take that leap and communicate your ideas and communicate your thoughts. And it's not just rambling thoughts. It is what you have discovered from self-examination, from self-discovery. That is when you are going to be able to move forward in a way that simply makes you feel and brings you more security. And whether that security is monetary or otherwise, it is the sense of security that we crave. I mean, when you ask somebody why they want a bunch of money, they say, because then I'll be safe, then I'll be secure. So that's the energy that you're actually looking for. So sometimes it's very important to actually look at the feeling behind whatever the desire is, because that's where you're going to find your answers. And very often that's where you're going to find your next step. Hopefully, as you have moved through this sort of more isolated, quiet, soul-searching period of time, you have had the opportunity to really reflect on not only why some things are not happening, but why some things are happening. And having found that clarity or that understanding, that inner awareness, you now are ready to move forward in a way that is going to be able to bring you that which ultimately at the bottom of it you're looking for. Okay, so again, this is about communication, a lot of it correspondence, and the Ace of Pentacles is about a revenue stream, it's about abundance, it is about security. So there's definitely a feeling here about soul searching, discovering, and then not being afraid to move forward in a way that is going to bring you new opportunities. And ultimately, those opportunities are going to bring you whatever it is that you are desiring that sits below the obvious. Okay? So, again, take a look at what it is you desire and ask yourself, what is the motivation underneath that? Then, when you address that, you very clearly are going to find the way to move forward. Okay, so there we have it. Titanium, jade, and gold. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed your weekly reading. Have a fabulous, fabulous week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.